As you turn to Tekehu, a shadow passes over your vision. You feel a tug from somewhere deep within his soul. A faint ripple creases the air between you, to like a forest of ethereal kelp. Surrender. So it's vibrant and energetic, almost too lively to occupy its mortal shell. There is a bright thread of energy that trails away from you. You indistinctly follow it. You stand in a grand hall, underwater and cloaked in oppressive shadows. Pillars of coral and bone reach up to support the ceiling that must be hundreds of fathoms away. Chandeliers light with bioluminescent globes dangle from long ropes, swaying in Legrand, technicolor motion. At the first end of the hall sits Ondra, as tall as a castle keep and leaning forward in her throne. She has adopted the head of an anglerfish and regards you with a globular stare. Her sickle-shaped jaw opens and closes in a rictus of conflicted emotions.
A life without friction or challenge has left the boy in need of guidance.
The voice of Ondra pounds at your mind with relentless force.
He thinks himself frail, but my heart beats in his chest. He is stronger than either of you could know.
He clasps his hands and the vision shatters, flooding the hall with a deluge of awareness as you return to your senses. Regarding you with a warm smile, Tekehu at first seems oblivious to your momentary detachment. Then his brow furrows with concern.
Captain, what say? You look a little blue about the gills.
Ondra just reached out to me.
Ingati spoke to you.
Skeptical, Tekehu cradles his chin and considers.
Ha! To leave her son guessing. Oh, this is my trickson mother through and through.
She seems to care about your well-being.
What mother doesn't? You must be special indeed for Ngati to speak with words.
So
For
Ondra
her
is
people,
Ngati.
she lays out cryptic stepping stones hidden in omens. Eora, but send her my fondest wishes.
I want to ask about Prince Ahir's interest in the black market.
Eora, what say?
Holds his arms and gestures for your continue. Where do you fit in the prince's plan? Oh.
Haruihi would not have told you the entire story. There is a good reason. Whatever is happening in the gullet, I believe that water shapers are at the center of it. Let me explain. When water shapers are not attending to their duties, they are dispatched into the city.
Fits into his palm. Concentrating, the small puddle rises to take the form of a tower.
Nekataka's great sculptures require some maintenance to hold their form.
Passes his other hand over the miniature, sharpening its edges, adding detail and definition.
Unless you are Ngati's chosen, Myru keeps a tight leash.
Closing the palm into a fist, the tower collapses.
One evening, I snuck out and followed a group of shapers. I expected to find myself in Serpent's Crown. And to my surprise, they went down to the gullet.
How was this unexpected?
There are no water sculptures in the Reparo district. The crown only flaunts our power where it can be displayed for foreigners.
Moves back his hair and sighs.
At least, a better class of foreigners than the type who frequent the gullet.
Do you think they were up to something illegal?
We are not forbidden from entering the gullet, but it is simply not done. If they have broken the crown's law, I simply want to know how and why.
He crosses his arms and aims a petulant look elsewhere.
You have questions? Eora, I have answers.
Yes, the royalty seem very taken with you.
Between the crown and the guild, Nekataka has high hopes for Ngati's chosen son, I say.
He smooths back his hair with both hands as he gestures his thoughts.
If Ngati had not blessed me, I say the goddess touched me for more than enriching one tribe, glorifying one island.
You give people hope.
If people need hope, they should pray harder, or look to their own grindstone.
Gives you an annoyed look, holding it there for longer than necessary before tossing his hair.
I say there is me, Tekehu, and there is the Tekehu others would make like a coconut husk doll. The more I try to be the Tekehu I know I am, the harder I am constrained. What say?
Ooh. He doesn't like it. And that no one should pressure you into be something you're not, maybe?
But it is the adoring people who made Tekehu the savior of the tribes. Many think that I have a duty to the Hawana. I say I am the only one unconvinced.
The Hawana needs someone like you to unite the tribes.
Rubbish, I say. Heroes are made for tragic ends and handsome corpses.
Out of his words, there's a gleam of quiet curiosity in the wandering gaze. Hesitated at first, Tekehu envelops your hand into his, the scales along his palm both prickly and warm, just as it seems that he will break away. Instead, he leans in closer.
I know how I seem. We did not have this word, conceded, before Adirans landed on the Isles.
Ooh.
If Ngati had not touched me, I wonder if anyone would care.
He seems ready to say more. He stops himself and releases you from his grip. The world around you darkens, and once again you feel an insistent tug at your attention. The pool centering in house surrender. Once again you find yourself in Ondra's waterlogged Hall of Power. The tired swaying of bioluminescent chandeliers cast uneven rays of light down into the cold.
Poor boy. He has it backward, as usual.
Distant voice asserts itself in your thoughts.
I did not choose him so that he could do great things. I chose him because talent should be fostered toward any end.
Sadness and regret creep into her tone. Something about them rings falsely in your ears.
How fortunate that you are here to set him on the right path. I know you won't disappoint.
Hear a smile in her words.
Apologies. I say I never miss an opportunity to talk about myself.
Presence withdraws, leaving you unsteady on your feet. Obviously offers a broad, showy smile.
You have questions? Eora, I have answers.
Hey, where did you live prior to Nikitaka?
The Kahanga are my tribe, but my people settled on Atua, an island too modest to deserve the attention of maps. My mortal mother tans boar hides. My father trades in the abundance of pearls and opals Atua is blessed to provide. When I was born, father called me his blue topaz boy.
Touches the back of his head and grins. I don't know if this cuts off questions or something else. So what do you do around the island?
Oh, I could not be kept from the water, so my father taught me how to dive for pearls and azada snails. Ngati filled my palms with riches on every harvest, I say. When I came of an age to begin a man's pursuits, the Mataru reached out to the Kahanga Queen. Weighing my arrival against the forces that descended on her territory, the Queen could not invite Ngati's chosen into the Water Shapers Guild fast enough. In hard times, the endorsement of a goddess is more valuable than currency.
If any notable godlike come from Outtro?
Doubtless, I say. But I am the most precious gem of recent history.
Highly, highly, highly.
Godlike are revered as bringers of local change, but only Ngati's Chosen is thought to deliver an omen for all Huana at once.
Hey, your birth must have been a big event.
Eora, high winds stirred the vigor of the seas. 2 huts collapsed before our local storm speaker could shout down the weather.
It beams with pride.
They say the skies only cleared when I fell into the midwife's basket. Peace had returned to the island, or so the Mataru predicted. Eora, speak on.
How about water shaping?
Ah, the art of our ancestors, I say. To bend water to our will is a gift from Mother Ngati to her chosen people.
As tall and grins with pride.
Since devastation swept our way of life out to sea, too much of the art has been lost. Periki, founder of the guild, organized the lore of Ngati's talent into a series of postures and meditations we call the 4 forms of water shaping.
I did read about that.
Try as we might to embody Ngati's element, our bodies are not water. Eora, this is the form of grief, a beginner's test.
Closes his eyes and sweeps out his hands, exhaling sharply.
The body's internal water is a force that conquers all. Even the mountain will bow to the stream. The form of hope, I say.
He's one leg before the other and sways on the spot.
Water commands its vessel, and the vessel can be shaped as surely as the mountain. The form of metamorphosis, Eora?
He opens his eyes, which now resemble polished onyx. His smile is hungry, predatory. He blinks and the effort is gone.
The art is a challenge to grasp, difficult to master, and impossible to perfect. Unless you are Ngati's Chosen, I say.
Area bar 4.
Ah, it is only by force of habit that I omit the final form. We do not speak of it in the guild. The form of transcendence.
Closes his eyes and concentrates, holding out his palms. He bites his lower lip and focuses. Finally, he shakes his head and stands at ease once more.
Only a story, I say. Even crafty Periki could not commit this ancient form to her scrolls. It was said that our ancestors could shape the very oceans of the Deadfire. This was Ngati's true gift, but we have yet to recover it from the ruins of our past.
Get the hell out of here then. So there's a couple of things we can do. I want to get that quest done for him just now. Get ready to ship. A cloak figure mounts the gangplank and roughly forces a burn book onto your hands. They turn and depart without a word. The binding of this tomb reeks of smoke. What few pages remained are crinkled and black, based on few chapter headers that survived the fire damage. This might have been a book of antiquated laws. Now it's nothing more than a chartered relic of authority.
You crack the spine of the old book, revealing blackened
Here we go
pages
again.
of dense, illegible text. The words recede into the shadows the longer you focus on them.
What now?
Suddenly, the page widens to eclipse the world around you. A dark void stretches out on all sides. The air full of choking fumes that carry dying embers and curling flakes of ash.
A wave to dispel the smoke.
Something stirs in the darkness. An old woman steps forward, leering down at you from on high.
Better?
Her smile is toothy and cruel. Her cheeks warp around it like melted candle wax.
I'm so glad that my messenger tracked you down. These days it's impossible to find good help.
Say nothing.
Before you draw your weapon, know that these proceedings are under a banner of peace. If this was a trap, it would have already closed around you. While Bareth whispers in one ear and Aetha shouts in the other, I thought you could use a more seasoned perspective to drown out the noise.
Was the ruse of a book really necessary?
For the moment, you are Bareth's creature. There are rules against my direct intervention, but nothing says you cannot willingly seek my counsel.
Well, I didn't seek it.
Andra and Helia toe the line of acceptable conduct from time to time, but I am nothing if not adherent to our oldest laws.
What could you possibly say that I haven't heard already?
Insolence will not help you here, child.
Please.
Don't you find it unusual how open and accessible my siblings have made themselves?
Because they're scared.
After millennia of subdued whispers, now they practically scream their intentions. And isn't it strange how we never bicker unless a mortal is watching?
God, they're a dramatic bunch by nature.
By necessity, in fact. But that's hardly the point.
That kinda is.
If we still possessed our glorious titans, my siblings and I would have put an end to Aethys and his rampage by now. While we are powerless to stop him, some of my kin wish to observe how mortals respond to this threat. They think it will shine a light on the value of our patronage. Have we raised you well enough to be self-sufficient? Or must we return to Eora and impose some corrective measures?
Nothing.
A cross-section of society has converged on the Deadfire. Some of my kin are of an opinion that we are meant to judge mortals on the basis of their performance, while the rest of us have already made up our minds on the matter.
So why do I get the feeling you're trying to convince me of something?
Judge for yourself. But I think you'll find my intentions are more straightforward than you think. When we ascended to godhood, we did so to provide for a savage people. Our goal was to craft a society whose values were made to last. Perhaps even a society that had no need of us. A naive fallacy, but one that inspired my optimistic, misguided kin. How you and your allies counter this threat will demonstrate whether you are competent enough to guide your own destinies, or if we need to revise our strategy. The soft-hearted among us are counting on you to win this existential wager. No doubt, Aethys shares their sympathies. I do not. We exist to rule over mortals. Nothing can change that. So now you know the truth. I assume you have questions.
I want to talk about the wheel.
The wheel is our shared responsibility, and each of us serves it in our own fashion. I am the axle upon which the gods balance their power. Aethys keeps the wheel in motion. He was our promise to mortals that time and labor would yield a deserving reward on the next turning of the cycle.
Okay, so how did Enwithens become gods?
At the height of our power, we recognized the potential of the soul. We knew that it could be bound, split apart, diverted like a river, and hammered together. Hammering was trivial.
Oh, that's nice.
Those of us who agreed with the Apotheosis Project, and many who did not, submitted to a violent and horrible erasure of our individuality. After the dust settled, we adopted the forms of beings from Eora's most prevalent myths. There were other faiths and legends, but we labored to strike their names.
So
from
there you go.
history.
So it was all a guise there, eh? Falsehood. What exactly does the wheel function?
Much of reincarnation's mechanism exists in the idea space of the beyond. You wouldn't find a wall of cogs and levers unless we conjured one to illustrate a point. The wheel has but one material component in all of Eora. Something we built to channel essence through luminous Adra and into the beyond with reliable continuity. Before we intervened, the flow of essence was directionless, unpredictable. We succeeded in widening the gap, diverting it, giving it an efficient path to follow.
Reincarnation existed before you. Why not just leave it alone?
Before we took control of the wheel, reincarnation was error-prone, lacking forward momentum. Hollowborn were fairly common, and hardly the worst of the soul maladies.
Well, it was there because of Animancers.
Control
Was it
gave
not?
us the power to strengthen the souls of intelligent kith over generations. We made you wiser, stronger, more likely to develop the society we thought you deserved. Every turning of the cycle demonstrated the righteousness of my belief. Nature begets chaos, and discipline begets perfection. Speak, Watcher. It isn't every day that I open myself to these communions, so spend your breath wisely.
Has your opinion of mortals changed at all?
Nothing you've done has tarnished it utterly beyond repair. You may congratulate yourself on that much, at least.
The God thinks my action can prove their point about mortal society?
Prove it or disprove it, yes. I never agreed to this arrangement, but if your example demonstrates mortal ineptitude, as I trust it will, then I can make the plan serve me. An assertive minority of gods believe that your choices will prove the value of their wild optimism. As if mortal collaboration and ingenuity are endorsements of our leadership. Then there are those of us who know better, who are not so easily convinced. Kith are vulnerable, unless they submit to the destiny we chart for them. Thinking otherwise can only breed dissent and chaos.
Okay, tell me about this enlightened society you once wanted.
It was an ambitious plan, our utopia. Perhaps too ambitious. We ascended to power, responding to a need inadequately satisfied. Assuming these roles gave us the authority to mold Eora over time, to influence you and lay the groundwork for a society yet to come. On the outset of the plan, some believed that mortals would outgrow us, as if that was a favorable outcome. To me, our eternal pantheon was always a critical fixture. Aethys was one of those who supported mortals, while I have always been their most vocal critic.
Doesn't the social engineering plan seem counterintuitive?
You mean gods crafting a godless world? Naturally. My siblings desired to influence mortals and steer them in a proper direction, even if that direction led to places we could not follow. I have no intention of being left behind. Society would unravel without its queen to impose strict order.
Why did other gods tolerate your opposition?
Opposition can take many forms. If a church embraces and weaponizes my doctrine, that is very different from me rampaging as a titan. Aethys is not known for subtlety. Twice now, he has contaminated the purity of our experiment, and done so with extravagant displays that undermine our authority.
Yeah, he did drop the moon. You call what Theos did subtle? Yeah, that's no subtle at all.
His approach was sophisticated, indirect. I owe you no explanations on the matter.
You can't deal with it.
Besides, you are not worthy to speak his name.
And yet, I did.
I am the counterpoint to the soft-hearted. It makes no difference if mortals pass some arbitrary test. My mind is settled on the matter. Regardless of my feelings, the timing of this crisis forces us to accelerate our schedule. Final judgment comes sooner than any of us would prefer.
How would you recognize the ideal society?
A valid, self-defeating question, and one which I posed often. We assumed that they, whoever they were, would reveal themselves to us. Rational government would rule in our stead, leaving churches vacant. Thanks to Aethys, we're pulling the dough from the oven before it's had a chance to fully rise. You unfortunate bastards never had the chance to prove me wrong.
What happens if someone does?
If our pantheon found that mortals had cultivated a perfect, lawful system to maturity, I would not voice a word in protest. I would merely stand aside and await the inevitable collapse. Mortals need us. I know this as well as I know myself. Even a lawful and responsible society would be poised to collapse as long as its architects and strongest adherents were mortal. Any satisfaction that my siblings derived from their little experiment would be short-lived, and it would fall to me to clean up after their mess.
Right, even when this mess is the case, being mortal freedom?
Freedom is an unachievable illusion, heralded by the soft of heart. Only those who can find satisfaction in captivity are truly free. Make no mistake, Watcher. In this, I cannot be proven wrong. You have learned much already. Only ask if you are ready for the truth.
Why did you choose to confide in me?
Whether knowingly or unintentionally, you seem to find yourself on the vanguard of change. Mortals like you come but once in a lifetime. Some would react poorly if I stripped mortals of their freedom
Some would say too.
without giving them a chance to plead their case. You have the honor of standing tall. as their
Standing tall.
advocate. Before I return to Eora and assume my position as your deserving tyrant, you have this opportunity to prove me wrong. To demonstrate whether or not mortals are responsible enough to claim their future.
Yeah, you speak as we don't have a chance.
You speak as if you do.
Of course I do.
Mortals have precious little time to decide for themselves. Will they stand together as one, or swallow their pride and bend the knee?
Bend the knee.
I have every confidence that you will disappoint us. Once my position
Absolutely.
is upheld,
I despise
the
the gods.
undecided among the gods will embrace my plan.
Despise them, despise them.
Yes, I think we will. This is not the end of our discussion. You know how to find your way back to this place.
Wotica nods stiffly. You feel her presence drift as a breeze, rustling as it goes.